Ethics. Ethics.
One of the first phrases that I played on this instrument that I made called the tapo violin was a quote from Lenin, which is, ethics is the aesthetics of the future. And so I played that back and forth, and stopping on the halfway through the word future. So few. So ethics is the aesthetics of the few, of the few, of the few, of the future. So, what a strange thing to say that in the future we'll all be good to each other, and that will be called our aesthetic. So the questions of morality and beauty are ancient, are good things beautiful, are beautiful things good? That's a very, very thorny question with a lot of pitfalls in it. So I'm not going to try to say anything about that, except that recently I was on a panel in New York a couple weeks ago on ethics, and it was very, very challenging. We're very judgmental now in the United States with the woke culture, and art has to be like a kind of TED Talk. It has to say, well, this is how to be ethical in the 21st century. And you're like, really? Can't you just make a big blue painting? Isn't that ethical enough for you? Or what? Is this really supposed to, are they connected? Even?
Ethics is the aesthetics.
What I find interesting about virtual reality is the ability to fly. To fly. Make your hands into fists. To fly faster. Stretch your arms out in the direction you want to fly. To fly slower, pull your arms in closer to your body. In this To the Moon, you can ride a donkey on the moon, and you can fly. So this is what I'm in it for. Got a like a Luna Park. Yeah. So how close is it to Luna Park? Kind of close. That you can do something with anti-gravity, and you can get another point of view. You can zoom to the top of the city, look down. This is a wonderful thing. So hopefully it's a little bit more, but maybe it's not. So it just depends on how you use it, how you play with it. So same thing with AI. I'm quite suspicious of it. I use it a lot. I don't think it's this grand new intelligence. The reason I'm doing that is my grandfather, Axel Ephraim Anderson, always told us he was from Göteborg, came from Göteborg by himself when he was 8 years old. He started a horse business when he was 9 in Chicago, and he got married when he was 10. And nobody said, no, you didn't. Come on, that's ridiculous. No, we all just, okay, well, he said that. It just, just becomes part of your family story. He's weird, he said that, okay. Okay, so then comes the family historian, marches in many, many decades later, and finds something about Axel Ephraim Anderson, who did come from Göteborg with his mother and brother and sister, Oscar and Attila. They came. His mother died, and he was put in an orphanage, and then his father couldn't keep him, so he put him in prison in Minneapolis called Red Wing, and until he was 21. And this was called a training school, but it was guards. Boys were beaten. There was barbed wire, big fences. It was a prison. So I decided, okay, so I'm going to do this show in Sweden. I'm going to dedicate it to Axel and the stories that he told and the ones he couldn't tell. So I decided to make some paintings of Axel's life as he told it, not as he lived it. So I made these paintings. They were awful. They were just ridiculous. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I want to show his life as he put it into words. So we programmed some things into this AI Midjourney program, and we put in the words Swedish boy, cottage, fir trees, goat, snow, fence, daguerreotype, end of the 19th century. And out comes these images. So they are not based on visual images, they are based on algorithms that create images. It manufactures them. It's really fantastic. So now there's 20 images of Axel's life as he told it in daguerreotypes in his homeland. So I'm very happy to have this here, you know.
So when we got to Guantanamo, the first months, we didn't know where we are. And we asked them, they won't tell us.
This is a piece about a collaboration with the youngest detainee of Guantanamo, who was accused by the U.S. government of being a terrorist. I thought, wow, here's another story of a boy in prison connected to language. The U.S. government story says when he was an 8-year-old goat herder in Chad, somehow made his way to London by himself, joined a terrorist cell, and then went to fight in Tora Bora. It's a stretch, this story.
So after a while, people guessing. Some brothers saying maybe we're in Bahrain. Some brothers say no, maybe Oman. We just keep guessing.
And here's my grandfather hiding his story. So I thought, here's some two threads of stories and what they do to people's lives. So stories can give you that sense of purpose or rob you of it, or you can have many different relationships to it, and they define you.
Ethics is the aesthetics of the few.
And seawater is very powerful. I didn't think it could pulverize metal, but it can. So after a couple of days after the hurricane, which hit New York very hard, I went down to the basement and everything was pulverized. I mean, what do I think about the future? I'm not so optimistic that people are going to be going through any of this stuff in 100 years. I'm not so optimistic about, let's see, I am optimistic about the future, I am. But I don't think we're going to be much of a big part of it as humans. And also, I am very happily accepting the fact that I don't know anything. And so where does that leave you then about how to feel about the future? For me, it leaves me as an absolute optimist. Why? Because you can't say that things are getting better. I can't say that things are getting worse. Nobody knows. The next plague could wipe out 90% of the human population, and this would perhaps be a very good thing, and the world starts again with lots of resources and some smart people who start it up again. That's possible. That's one scenario. Could happen, and among many other things. And so because we don't know, I choose to be an optimist. Why? Because you have a happier life as an optimist. You're not like, oh, you're just, okay, could be good. Let's say it's going to be good. Let's say it's going to be good. You're good, I'm good. Let's say it's all good. And then I feel happier. I always come back to the single sentence of my teacher who told me something very, very, very important, which is try to practice how to feel sad without being sad. And I find that distinct. This is Mingyur Rinpoche from Nepal, a wonderful teacher, who said that because, if you pretend there aren't sad things in the world, there are lots of sad things in the world. If you pretend they're not there, you are an idiot, They're there. You're just like, la-di-da. No, they're there. But his teaching is recognize that, see that. Do not become that yourself. We're here, as Mingyur Rinpoche basically puts it, to have a very good time. A very good time. That's what we're here for. So he's very emphatic about that. And so I think, what is he, crazy? And I think, no, maybe some other people who want to think that we're here to have a very bad time are crazy also. Or maybe we're all crazy. But anyway, be happy crazy rather than sad crazy or desperate crazy. Don't be desperate. It's a choice.
Ethics
is the aesthetics of the few. Of the few. Of the few.
Sure.
Yeah, well, one of the things that has drawn me to Buddhist thought is lack of hierarchy. There is nobody in charge. And this is like crack for me. I'm like, whoa, this is fantastic. No Mr. Big up there that you have to please, or who's judging you, or who's saying you're rotten, or you're so cute. Nobody up there. There's nobody there. One half the family were Baptists, and they were like all the super graphic heaven and hell stuff, like God is huge and he's judging you, and he's also sweet, and then there's fire, and then there's talking snakes, and then there's it's really like Hindu stuff. It's really very, very colorful with all sorts of like gods and goddesses in a way. And then on the other side was the Swedish Evangelical Mission Covenant Church, which we went to, and that church was based on. Okay, so you'd go to that in the middle of the day and Sunday, and the preacher would say, "Okay, it would be good if we could be kind to each other, and just you'll have a better life that way, and that's the way to live. Let's go drink some coffee," and then we go down to the fellowship room. We drink a lot of coffee, and that was it. That was how to live, and I thought that's also good. Be good to yourself. Be good to your friends. Why not that as a way to be? And so that was the other polar opposite for me. Then comes along this idea of Buddhism, which is a fascinating one to me, because it's, as I said before, has this core of emptiness, this belief of emptiness at the center, and real like mystery also of, and unfathomable depth of who we are, what we are. So it acknowledges that. And so like, whoa, that's something. How do you get there? Very simple. There's no rules. You just notice things. You open your eyes and you notice things for yourself. So it's awareness. Same thing of being an artist. It's simply be aware. Look around. That's it. Thoughts on humor. Let's see. You mean, do I know any good new jokes, for example? Yes, I do. We have in English a lot of jokes about blonde people, sadly. So this was told to me by an Austrian guy, and so I always think of it with an Austrian accent. So there were blondies. There were two blondies. Okay, so this is a joke about two blondies. The blondie cop says to the blondie driver, "Okay, give me your license and registration." And the blondie driver says, "What does that look like again?" And blondie cop says, "It's a little rectangle and it has your picture on it." So she gives it to the blondie cop, this compact mirror, and from her makeup case, and the blondie cop goes, "Hey, why didn't you tell me you were on the force?" Okay, so that's looking into a mirror sideways joke, especially made for this show. Not really, but it's again making fun of people, but we're all ridiculous, so why not?